Hey everybody, a short update about what's going on in the layout. Not much has changed. I have picked up a nice Broadway Limited Imports Milwaukee Road 484, which I intended to run today, but it seems to have a problem. I did buy it used. The trucks are somewhat warped underneath here, and no matter how much I try with a pair of needle-nose pliers, I can't get them to go right, so the tender wheel stays in. And there's also a wire broken off, so I'm going to have to mail it off to Broadway Limited to be fixed. So unfortunately, probably won't see it chugging around in the layout too much until a couple months from now. But I did get some nice Northern Pacific passenger cars to go in my 484, along with a couple other Great Northerns and a Union Pacific passenger car I got floating around here somewhere. So I figured I'd go ahead and run those, and when I eventually do get my Milwaukee Road 484 back, I'll go ahead and have it going. So here we are, end of the line. This layout, I've learned a lot from this layout, more than I did before, because on the previous layout I had with my dad, he did a lot of the stuff. I wasn't, really into the mechanical aspect of it. I just wanted to run trains. This one, my father helped with the bench work. He, putting this back in the box, he did a lot of helped me with some of the track work, but the majority of the track work, and even some of the bench work and stuff, I did on my own, which I never did before. But even with that being said, this layout definitely has its downsides, and at this point it's become too big of a problem. I'm going to set this over here so you guys kind of try to give you something to look at while I work here and talk. That'll be a nice passenger car to look at. This layout definitely has its downsides. And one of those being it's out here in a shed, and I live in Washington State. And it is, especially I started building this last spring, and now it's winter. And one downside is you can't use this thing in the winter, it's too cold out here. And another downside is with the temperature changes being in this building, the track is changing enough to the point, expanding and contracting, that it's causing derailments, and there's no real way to combat that at this scale with the extreme temperature changes. I also don't feel comfortable leaving my engines out here in the, 32-degree weather or colder, and hotter weather in the summer. So what I've decided to do is right now, and I intend to do it all today, and hopefully within an hour after I'm done packing up all these passenger cars, is I am deconstructing the layout. But don't worry, because in the original den, which you'll see in some of my videos from a couple of years ago, we had the original HO layout in there. Me and my father started building when I was a kid, and it's been rebuilt I don't know how many times. And the reason I built this layout was because the curves on that one were too tight that my bigger steam engines, like my 484s I've been acquiring in recent years, and I hope to maybe get a Challenger somewhere down the line, are not, the curves are too tight for my bigger engines. So what I've been able to work out with my dad, because he's the one I like doing this with, is we're going to redo that layout significantly. Before we just kind of, move some stuff around, but we're going to redo that layout and eventually even add a second deck, which is going to be great. I've been looking at some pre-made Helix kits because I don't even want to attempt building one myself. And I've seen a few that interest me, and we're going to do some wider curves. And while the table won't be as big as this table, it will be doubled due to, having a second level. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're able to combine the materials from that layout and this layout and the buildings and one me and my dad could both use. This one right now is too difficult for my dad to get into because unfortunately he is in a wheelchair, and getting him in and out of the shed is a bit of a pain, and he likes to partake in the model railroading as well. So I figured I would build a new layout somewhere that's a little more accessible for him, and maybe even allow me to put the layout in a better place and put the layout, the first that I've had, where I could just leave my trains on the layout and I don't have to box them up every time I'm done using them, because it is a real pain, especially some of these Broadway Limited steam engines, the older ones, where you have to unplug the tender. They are a real pain to get apart. I definitely like the newer ones they've been doing, where they basically build a long box so they can stay coupled together indefinitely, which is nice. But what I'm doing right now is I'm boxing up all my passenger cars. All my cars and engines that have boxes are getting boxed. All my freight cars are going to go in a box next. Then I'm going to try to get all the track apart and put that in a box. And then maybe if I have enough time, I might pull out the turntable. I don't know. I've already been to work today and been battling some kind of illness this past week, so I don't want to push myself too far, but it's going to be a little different, and I'm looking forward to it. The derailments on this layout are just horrible, and I combat it and they stop, and then I go inside for a couple of months and during the winter, and I come back out here and it's derailing in all new places because the track has gotten to below freezing temperatures and gone back up and gone back down in temperature, and everything's moved around, and now my engines are jumping the track, and it's just a, you know, real pain. But I got some nice passenger trains. I'm in the process of building a Milwaukee Road passenger train to go on my new Milwaukee Road 484. I just purchased a Skytop Lounge Milwaukee Road car, which is on the way. It's in the mail. And I have a few IHC cars. I'm not sure if I'm really going to use them. I've put Katie couplers on them, but they're really lightweight. I'm on the fence about it. And then, you know, probably get some nicer ones like Walthers or MTH down the line. And I just acquired my North Coast Limited passenger train, which is pretty nice, which you saw running on my previous video behind my 484. Right now I'm packing up my Empire Builder, which is pretty much 100% Riviosity cars, but I did just pick up a couple more Great Northern Bachmann cars at my local train shop, because unfortunately they're shutting down the store and they're going to go 100% online. But on the bright side, that meant lots of good deals on stuff, so I was able to pick up quite a few passenger cars, including a, I think it's a Walthers, a heavyweight Union Pacific car that's supposed to have lights in it, but I have no idea how, I don't know if it has lights in it. It's got wires going into it, so I assume it's lighting. I have no idea how it works, so we're gonna have to take a look at that. And the roof comes off, and I can't get the roof to stay on. I'm not really sure how it works, and it does not want to turn at all. Like, it must be built for ridiculously huge curves. But, you know, we'll cover that when we get to it. Anyway, though, here I am in my beautiful face, which I'm sure everyone wants to see. Figured while I talk, you guys could just watch me pack this stuff up. Yeah, getting the roof off that car is going to be a pain, or getting it to stay on. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now, packing all these cars away is really tedious, and packing the engines away is tedious, which is one of the big reasons why I just don't want to do this layout, is because I spend more time packing up my trains than I do actually playing with them, which is unfortunate, because, you know, playing with the trains is what it's all about. But, yeah, I'm just about done with all the box stuff, and I'm going to start pulling up some track. And, it is tedious. It's my Saturday at work, and I'm spending the evening packing up trains, which is, but, you know, I'm hoping this will be the last time I have to pack them. Next time I can unpack them, and they'll just live on the layout after that. You know, I've always changed cars out probably because I don't know how big. My biggest draw away from building one in that den, because the den is pretty small where we had the original layout. These old Riviasi cars are not holding together. Or Riviasi boxes ain't holding together well. Anyway, though, my biggest drawaway was probably not a lot of room for a yard. Oh, here's the box that dome car is supposed to go in. Oh well, I stuffed it in another box I wasn't supposed to go into, but it's too late now. I don't know what I messed up on. This ain't gonna fit. This is for one of the little ones, isn't it? When you got 15 of these cars, and all their boxes are identical, you're gonna have a hell of a time. But I ain't gonna unpack it. I'll just throw it in the bin. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We're gonna have to actually make a small hole going into a closet in order to complete a wide enough curve we need. But luckily, you know, we're going to do a helix of some kind, which would be interesting. Never have a layout with a helix on it, and I don't like looking at helixes. As I get older, I kind of become more of a, you know, a prototypical layout kind of guy, and helixes aren't pretty prototypical, as you can imagine. But, you know, what are you going to do? You got to work with what you got. Pack all the freight cars away. I got a whole bunch more freight cars. I never even finished putting Katie couplers on. That's another thing, too, is I'm splitting my stuff in between here and my dad's layout and bringing tools back and forth, and it is just a major league pain in the butt. You know, my dad needs some couplers, or I need couplers, and they come over here, and then they go over there, and it's back and forth, and kind of running two separate HO layouts, one for me and one for him, doesn't make much sense. Splitting the workload, and he's helped me a lot on that one, and he's helped me a lot on this one, but it'd be a lot better to have the layout in the house. If this was insulated, this shed is not insulated, it's just a tiny piece of plywood in between me and the outdoors, and you close this, you turn the lights off and you can see light coming through the walls. You know, it's got its problems. But we're almost to the point of start pulling up track on this thing. It's kind of sad, you know, this is my first layout that I've pretty much done by myself, but you know, I'm younger than I look, and I'll have time, I'm sure, somewhere down the line to do it again. Probably a better one. Every layout gets a little better than the last. And be excited to see where the next one goes, and happy for the lessons I've learned from this one. So, I guess I'll get started, and maybe I'll post another little clip when I'm done.